Good evening. Thanks for joining us. This is NTD Business, and I'm Paul Graney. President Biden posts a video supporting workers trying to unionize. Is he talking to Amazon employees? Buying in store. Digital payments overtake cash payments for the first time ever. Are we heading to a cashless future? And the World Economic Forum is raising eyebrows again. His latest Great Reset video is removed after online outrage. That and more coming up on NTD Business. Johnson & Johnson's newly authorized vaccine starts shipping out of Kentucky today. It's the third vaccine available in the United States, but this one only requires one shot. The others require two. It's also easier to distribute since it can be stored and shipped at normal temperatures. The drug maker plans to deliver 4 million vaccine doses this week, 20 million by the end of March, and 100 million doses by June. And the stock market, U.S. stocks are up today, and the yield on the 10-year Treasury is actually down a little today. The Dow surged 603 points or 1.95%, S&P 500 gained 91 points or 2.38%, the Nasdaq jumped 396 points or 3.01%. Incredible turnaround. Technology and financials actually outperformed today. Apple up over 5%, Tesla up over 6%, clawed back those losses. The small cap Russell 2000 surged nearly 3.4%, put its gain in 2021 over 15%, compared to the S&P 500's gain of about 4% in the same period. U.S. manufacturing activity increased to a 3-year high in February with an acceleration in new orders. Not even the pandemic could dampen Warren Buffett's enthusiasm for the future of America and his own conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway. He talked to his shareholders in his annual letter this weekend. Fred Karamaya reports.
Billionaire investor Warren Buffett expressed his optimism for America and his company despite the pandemic that struck his businesses. In his widely read annual letter to shareholders released Saturday, he wrote, "Never bet against America." He also expressed his optimism for Berkshire Hathaway. The company bought back a record of nearly $25 billion of its stock last year, signaling that investors have undervalued the conglomerate. His businesses include auto insurer Geico and the railroad BNSF, whose strong results helped lift quarterly operating income 14%. Gains in stocks like Apple drove the bottom line up 23%. Curiously, Buffett did not specifically mention the pandemic in his letter, even though it led to a loss of more than 31,000 jobs in Berkshire's workforce. The health crisis also drained aerospace industry demand for parts, driving his company, Precision Cast Parts, to cut more than 40% of its workers last year. Buffett admitted in the letter that he had overpaid when he shelled out $32 billion to buy it in 2016. He called that mistake a big one. He also disclosed that Berkshire will hold its annual shareholders meeting this year in Los Angeles, not in Omaha, where tens of thousands of people gather every year for what the Oracle of Omaha calls the Woodstock for capitalists.
Now, one of Berkshire's major holdings, Apple, all of its stores in the United States are open for the first time since the pandemic. There's 270 stores. Many are open for walk-in customers, but others require a scheduled 15-minute shopping session. Some are open only for order pickup, and stores in Texas were the last to open after winter storms hit the state last month. And a new study shows people use their digital wallets to pay in stores more than they used cash in 2020. That's a first. Digital wallets lets you use your smartphone to pay.
These days, more and more consumers prefer pulling out their digital wallets compared to their physical ones. 2020 was the first year digital payments overtook cash for in-store purchases around the world. That's according to a new FIS study. Experts believe the pandemic is shifting people away from cash and towards digital payment methods. However, cash definitely won't be dead.
There's about 7 million American households that don't have a bank account, meaning that cash is really their go-to. Of cities and states like New York, Philadelphia, Massachusetts, these are all places that have actually banned cashless stores.
The U.S. lags far behind in terms of digital payment usage, especially in comparison to Australia and China.
Payments habits change really slowly in the U.S. Some of it is on the consumer side and some of it is on the business side.
Many Americans just don't want to change, and businesses lag behind because of regulation and an unwillingness to pay for the upgrades.
The U.S. lagged for many years on the chip card transition was part of this too. Whereas chip and PIN was commonplace in Asia and Europe for many years before it came to the U.S.
Technology infrastructure has advanced much more quickly in other parts of the world. However, this past year probably represented multiple years' worth of change, with the pandemic forcing people to make less contact.
And Swedish payments firm Klarna has nearly tripled its valuation to $31 billion in less than 6 months. The company says a new $1 billion private fundraising round helped it get there. Kira Lee reports.
Set to be the most valuable European startup, Swedish payments firm Klarna has nearly tripled its valuation to $31 billion in less than 6 months. The company, which counts US store Macy's as an investor, on Monday said it's the result of a new $1 billion private fundraising round. The latest round for the buy now, pay later firm was oversubscribed 4 times. That puts the fintech on par with many of Europe's biggest listed financial houses. At $31 billion, the company's value is comparable to the likes of Barclays and Credit Suisse, and makes it larger than Germany's biggest lender, Deutsche Bank. But questions remain over the buy now, pay later business model, particularly during the health crisis, with countries keen to prevent consumers from overextending themselves. But investors seem undeterred, and the latest deal caps a meteoric rise in the value for Klarna. Sources say more than 30 new and existing investors took part in the latest funding round. Klarna has been widely rumoured to be among a number of tech companies mulling a public listing, with some industry experts expecting a New York IPO in the near future.
Wow, big growth. President Biden seems to support Amazon workers who are looking to form unions. He told workers to make their voices heard, and he warned employers against intimidation. Here's a video posted on Twitter.
Today and over the next few days and weeks, workers in Alabama and all across America are voting on whether to organize a union in their workplace. This is vitally important, a vitally important choice.
Although Biden didn't mention Amazon specifically, he referred to workers in Alabama. Amazon currently has no unionized labor in the United States, but workers at Amazon's fulfillment center in Bessemer, Alabama, look to become the first in the company to unionize. It could encourage Amazon workers in other facilities to do it too. Biden has vowed to increase union membership in the United States after years of steady declines. He said that every worker has the right to unionize and warned managers not to stop them. And lockdowns are quietly improving cities around the world. Well, that's what the World Economic Forum said over the weekend in a Twitter post. Of course, backlash led to them taking down the video. NTD's Patrick Hayden takes a look.
After intense backlash, the World Economic Forum, or WEF, has taken down a Twitter post that claims lockdowns during the pandemic are quietly improving cities across the globe. The Great Reset proponents posted the video on Friday. Many noted that millions of lives being lost and businesses being destroyed were not improving cities. The WEF took the video off Twitter on Saturday as people criticized the out-of-touch political elites. It did admit that the lockdowns were not actually quietly improving cities, but offered no apology. Schwab's remarks sparked concerns that the actual goal of lockdowns was to accustom people to a life in which government can shut down economies and restrict personal freedoms. This all in the name of public health or addressing climate change. Freedom-loving people around the world had only just recovered from the WEF video a few months back, predicting, by 2030, you will own nothing and be happy about it. And over the weekend at the CPAC conference, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem didn't accept the need for lockdowns.
COVID didn't crush the economy. Government crushed the economy. And then, just as quickly, government turned around and held itself out as the savior And frankly, the Treasury Department can't print money fast enough to keep up with Congress's wish list. But not everyone has followed this path.
Her state was the only state not to close churches and businesses or impose lockdowns and mask mandates. This made her a target for established media and Democrat politicians. She resisted pressure from Dr. Anthony Fauci's task force that said South Dakota would be treating 10,000 people at the worst of the pandemic. Noam says the true number was actually 600. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
Of course, it's not just the US that the lockdowns have taken their effect. The UK's hospitality industry says if things open in June instead of April, the sector is going to take a £9 billion hit. Indeed, lawmakers from across the political divide there are now urging the government to help. NTD's Earl Rhodes has the details.
Trade body UK Hospitality says the hospitality industry is picking up a $12.5 billion bill by the lifting of all virus restrictions in June instead of April. ATMPs across the divide have urged the Chancellor Rishi Sunak to invest more in the recovery of the sector, which has ravaged restaurants, pubs and hotels. The government's roadmap out of lockdown says the indoor dining can only start from the 17th of May. Hotels and B&Bs will need to wait until May to reopen as well. UK Hospitality says if the furlough scheme is not extended beyond April, nearly 100,000 jobs would be at risk. That would add to the 660,000 already lost. The government does have a $7 billion scheme to help the sector, but UK Hospitality says more is needed, including extending a VAT cut and to apply further relief to drinks sold on the premises. Earl Rhodes, NTD News.
And the largest and oldest electric power cooperative in Texas is filing for bankruptcy. It's called Brazos Electric Power Cooperative. The state's grid operator ERCOT says Brazos has $2.1 billion in unpaid charges following last month's winter storm that left millions without power for days. Brazos supplies electricity to more than 660,000 consumers across the state. Brazos and others committed to provide power to the grid but couldn't, and they were required to buy replacement power instead. And so as prices soared, it's facing enormous charges. Unusually frigid temperatures knocked out nearly half of the state's power plants in mid-February, leaving 4.3 million Texans without heat or light for days. Still to come, price hikes are rippling through the auto industry. More and more people can't afford to buy new vehicles and are settling for used ones. And Chinese investment in Australia drops to its lowest point in 6 years. This as tensions between the two countries drastically worsen. That and more in just a minute.
Trends may be fleeting, but values are timeless. We now bring you this new clothing brand with classic design and luxurious comfort. It's our way of sharing hope and inspiration from the world of Shenyun. We bring you Shenyun Dancer. Wear it with honor.
Prestigious Car of the Year award goes to the Toyota Yaris Hybrid. Here's the details.
The Toyota Yaris has been named 2021's Car of the Year at a ceremony in Switzerland on Monday.
Let's have a look at all the cars in the flashlight. Congratulations to the Toyota Yaris.
The fourth generation Yaris is a gasoline-electric hybrid. It beat off 6 other challengers for the title. The Car of the Year prize was established in 1964. It's an international award judged by a panel of auto journalists across Europe.
The Toyota Yaris is one of the 7 finalists for the Car of the Year 2021. I'm driving it on some typical Dutch B-roads. They're twisty, they're narrow, they're bumpy, and therefore perfect to test the suspension of this 4th generation Yaris. It's more fun to drive, better steering, and more responsive handling. The strength is its versatility.
The annual award presentation came on what should have been the eve of the Geneva International Motor Show. But for the second year running, the event was canceled due to the CCP virus pandemic. Runner-up was the Fiat 500 Electric, with the Cooper Formentor crossover in third. A first-generation Yaris was named Car of the Year in 2000. Executive Vice President of Toyota Europe, Matthew Harrison, says it's a great honor for Toyota, and he paid tribute to the work of the company's development teams in Europe and Japan. The Car of the Year award is an independent organization supported by 9 automotive publications from 9 European countries.
And the pandemic has triggered a wave of price hikes throughout America's auto industry. The surge has made both new and used vehicles unaffordable for many buyers.
A chain reaction touched off by the pandemic has pushed new vehicle prices to record highs.
So we have seen vehicle prices be going up in the new market faster than wages have been going up, faster than incomes have been going up.
The rise in new vehicle prices has also dramatically driven up the cost of used ones. Dealers and industry analysts say the increases come at a terrible time for buyers. Many of them are looking for vehicles to avoid public transit or ride-hailing due to the virus.
And so this has meant that these vehicle prices have been getting more and more of a stretch for the average American.
Prices are so high that many buyers have been forced out of the new vehicle market.
Well, we did look at new trucks, but the price is excessive on a truck. I mean, some trucks cost upwards of $70,000.
Instead, Parsons bought a used Ford F-150 with 29,000 miles on it. He paid $37,000 for it instead of $52,000 for a new one. The CEO of a 20-dealer chain in Michigan, Ryan LaFontaine, says older vehicles with over 100,000 miles are in high demand now. In the past, dealers wouldn't have bothered with those trade-ins. But now his group is reconditioning them and helping people with lower incomes or poor credit with credit counseling.
So we're going to make sure that we're a one-size-fits-all. It can't be people that just have great income.
Currently, new vehicle supplies are tight, and fewer trade-ins are coming to dealers' lots. Chesbrough predicts a tight used vehicle market with high prices for several more years to come.
And a Chinese businessman is in legal trouble for allegedly trying to steal important trade secrets from General Electric. The 64-year-old businessman allegedly targeted GE's MOSFET technology. They're small switches that adjust electricity flow through devices. The technology is worth millions. The businessman reportedly planned to sell the switches through his own business. The DOJ says it doesn't look like he was able to transfer the technology to Chinese companies, though, and he still hasn't been taken into custody. If he's found guilty, he'll face up to 10 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. A Chinese investment in Australia fell by over 60% last year. It's the lowest level recorded in 6 years, and comes as the two countries' diplomatic dispute worsens. Emer McCarthy reports.
As tensions between Beijing and Canberra continue to simmer, Chinese investment in Australia has slumped to its lowest level in 6 years. The annual tracking study from the Australian National University recorded $1 billion Australian dollars of Chinese investment in 2020, consisting of real estate, mining and manufacturing deals. That's a 61% fall, larger than the 42% decrease in foreign direct investment globally. Australia announced a shake-up of its foreign investment laws in 2020 to give the government the power to veto or force the sale of a business if it creates a national security risk. Chinese company Mengniu abandoned a deal to buy the Australian dairy firm Lion Dairy and Drinks from Japanese company Kirin in August, after the Australian government indicated it would block the sale. The Chinese embassy said in November that 10 Chinese investments had been blocked in Australia on national security grounds. China has since imposed dumping tariffs on Australian wine and barley and restricted the unloading of Australian coal at Chinese ports.
Things are heating up. Still to come, Walmart scraps the $35 minimum for express delivery. It's a challenge to rivals like Amazon. And a New York steakhouse brings in famous wax figures to dine with customers. It's to celebrate getting back more indoor dining. That and more in just a minute. Walmart is dropping the $35 minimum for express delivery. It's trying to compete with Amazon Prime in the grocery delivery business. The change starts today. Walmart says nearly 3,000 stores offer express delivery, reaching nearly 70% of the U.S. population. It usually costs $10 on top of the normal delivery charge, but Walmart says it's scrapping the express order minimum because customers complained about needing items quickly that didn't meet the minimum. Gotta complain. I want to own a piece of auto history. The family of legendary businessman Henry Ford is cleaning house. Ford's great-grandson is auctioning off 2 of the Ford vehicles from his family's personal collection. Barrett-Jackson Auction Company is selling the family's 1947 Ford Super Deluxe Custom Woody wagon and their 1958 Edsel Bermuda wagon. The great-grandson Edsel B. Ford II will autograph the vehicles. Neither vehicle will have a minimum. The auction is set to take place on March 27th in Scottsdale, Arizona. New York recently brought indoor dining capacity up to 35%. To celebrate, a high-end steakhouse welcomed back customers in a creative way.
At Peter Luger's steakhouse, seats have been occupied by class and fame. The steakhouse worked with Madame Tussauds to feature wax figures of celebrities. Diners might rub shoulders with actor Jon Hamm or sit down with talk show host Jimmy Fallon.
I think I saw it on Eater that they had the mannequins, celebrity mannequins in here, so I posted on Instagram asking who wanted to go to lunch with me, and my girlfriend said that she wanted to go.
The new add-ons to the restaurant coincides with indoor dining capacity going up to 35%. Michael Costa, manager at Peter Luger's, says business has been tough since the pandemic.
We're finally almost fully staffed. So it's been rough. We've been doing a lot of the takeout orders. We never did that before. Traditionally never take out, but now we have a big takeout.
The National Restaurant Association says restaurants accounted for 9% of employment in the state in 2019 and brought in over $50 billion in sales in 2018. Costa says they'll work with any capacity the city wants.
Right now, we take whatever they give us. 25 is good, 35, whatever they want to give us, because we're at the bottom. So I know the loyal customers are back. So it'll all come back eventually, but we'll take our time. It's no rush.
The bump in capacity is the first expansion since indoor dining came back around Valentine's Day. The rest of New York State has been at 50% capacity for several months.
Pretty neat. That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, though, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.
Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.